It was a nice summer day at Horseland, and all the students from school were off school for summer vacation. All the riders at Horseland were all off from school for the summer, but of course, Sarah, along with her friends, were all 18, with the exception of Bailey, who is 19, and Will, who is 21 years old, and had plans to go to college in September. It was a day after graduation from high school. Everyone was all ready to spend most of their summertime at Horseland. Will was home from college and had plans to graduate with a bachelor's degree in vet tech as well as a degree in science. He had plans to visit Horseland from time to time whenever he was in college, but now that he is off for the summer, he'll have more time to spend with his friends, including Sarah, who's his girlfriend. Sure, Bailey and Chloe got together while Zoe and Nani have been close friends together for a while, but yet Zoe wasn't so sure what she was into, more men or women more. Shep, along with Teeny and Gora, were at the front of the stables. They were all hanging out by the sun. Thankfully, it wasn't too hot outside. It's the first day of summer vacation. Everyone is going to be at Horseland more often, spending the summer there, Shep said. There's going to be shows, and it's going to be a busy summer this year as always, Teeny added. Just don't splash me with mud again, Teeny. Last time you did that, I needed a bath, and it wasn't fun. Agora snapped sharply at the pig. Now, you two. No need to be so rash. Let's think about the positives while we have this summer. It'll be a fun one. Just gonna make the good things happen, Shep replied. The first one to enter the barn was Sarah. As she walked in, the first thing she did was go to Scarlet in her stall to say hello. Once she did that, she gave her horse a carrot, to which it was one of her favorite treats. After she did that, Sarah headed to the tack room to grab her stuff to ride Scarlet with. However, when Sarah entered the tack room, she saw something that made her confused and was surprised to see what she found. On the table in the tack room was a monkey's paw. She was confused as to why the paw was there in the tack room, and at first she thought that someone from the barn would be pulling a prank on her. So she thought that was the case. But if it was a prank, who would put a monkey's paw there? Sarah looked around the table to see if there was anything else that could explain about why it was there, but she couldn't find a clue. Soon Molly, along with Alma and Bailey, showed up in the tack room, and they saw what Sarah was looking at in the tack room table. They rushed towards the table, confused as to what Sarah was looking at. Sarah, what is that? Molly asked. A monkey's paw, that's what it is, but why is it doing here? Sarah questioned. I hope this isn't some sort of prank, because Chloe and Zoe pranked us by dumping a bucket of worms on us when we were near the horse stalls. Alma sighed in frustration. Remember the time that Zoe and Chloe pranked them with buckets of worms for a prank. I don't think this is a prank, Bailey said, taking the monkey's paw in his hands. Let's wait for Chloe, Zoe, Nani, and Will to get here. One of them may know what this is. After waiting for their friends to arrive at Horseland, Bailey gathered his friends in the tack room so they could see the monkey's paw. Everyone was questioning what it was, wondering if it was dangerous or not. What should we do with it? Sarah asked. Is it dangerous? Chloe asked as well. I believe that is a monkey's paw, but something is dangerous and we'll need to be careful on how we use it, Nani stated, examining the monkey's paw. Look at how all 5 of the fingers are not folded, so that means the monkey's paw holds 5 wishes. But this warning is serious. Each wish someone makes, something bad will happen, Will added. Where did you learn about that? Zoe asked. I looked about it up online and did some reading on witchcraft stuff, and monkey's paws are very cursed. Whenever you make a wish, something bad will happen, Will replied. Like what? Sarah asked. I don't know. I guess that's why they shouldn't be messed around with. Will then handed the monkey's paw to Sarah. Be sure to get rid of it, or even better, let's see what happens when someone makes a wish. Since Sarah found it, maybe she should wish it first, Zoe suggested. I don't know about this. I'm concerned that something bad will happen. Sarah then started to get an uneasy feeling within her. Well, we'll all have to be careful. Who knows what kind of bad consequences that paw will have, Will stated. Later on in the evening at the stable, Sarah was staring at the monkey's paw. She was now sitting by Scarlet's stall while staring at it, unsure of what to wish for. Sarah's been staring at that paw for a while, Scarlet stated. I'm not liking where this is going. Once a wish is made on the paw, something bad will happen, Pepper added. Me neither. I'm unsettled by this. Button added. It's making me nervous. Like, what if someone gets hurt or worse? Calypso added, showing concern. I have no idea if any of this monkey paw thing is fake or not. I'll believe that when I see it, Aztec scoffed at the nonsense that he was hearing from his stall. Well, that should be the first wish to be, but I have to keep that in mind that something bad will happen when I make the wish. Sarah sighed, trying to think of a good sign. Well, there is this trail ride I'm going on tomorrow, and Zoe and Nani have been close friends for a while. I think Zoe and Nani both like each other, so I think I got it, Sarah exclaimed, finally knowing what she was going to wish for on the monkey's paw. Shep was watching from the stable doors, watching Sarah holding the monkey's paw, making the first wish. Although he seemed to not really like the idea, something told him that a wish can or may have a bad outcome to it. I wish that Nani and Zoe would confess their feelings for each other, Sarah said, but as she stared at the paw, nothing happened. That's weird. None of the fingers folded. If it isn't folded by tomorrow, I'll know it's fake, Sarah said, placing the monkey's paw in the hay bale before walking out of the barn. Just shortly after Sarah left, Scarlet looked down at the monkey's paw. As soon as she laid her fingers on the monkey's paw, one of the fingers folded, indicating that Sarah's wish will come true. Shep, did you see that? Scarlet asked, shocked to see that the monkey's paw folded one of its fingers as soon as Sarah made that wish. What did you see? Shep asked. One of the fingers on the monkey's paw folded. I think I believe in it now, Scarlet said to Shep as he examined the monkey's paw. My word, Scarlet. You are right about this after all, Shep said in shock. The wish is probably not going to work. I still think it's bogus, Aztec scoffed it. Still gonna believe it when you see it for yourself, Aztec? Always not believing in superstitions? Button shook her head in disbelief. The next day at the stable, Zoe along with Chloe and Nani were the first ones at the barn. Zoe turned to see the monkey's paw in the hay bale not far from Scarlet's stall. She approached it to see one of the fingers are folded. No fucking way! Chloe, you gotta see this, Zoe said, calling out to her sister as Chloe stood beside her. What is that? Chloe stopped as she took a few seconds to look at the monkey's paw. Oh my god, one of its fingers have folded on its paw. I'm shocked that's what I'm about it, but who made the wish? Zoe asked. Nani soon saw what Chloe and Zoe were talking about, and she just was surprised as they were. One of the fingers folded, so I wonder who made the wish and what they wished for, Nani wondered. That is what I'm curious about, Zoe said, as Molly, along with Bailey, Sarah, Will, and Alma showed up. The first thing they did was head towards where Nani, Chloe, and Zoe were, by Scarlet's stall. As soon as they approached their friends, they saw that one of the fingers on the monkey's paw had folded. Whoa, Nani wasn't even kidding about the monkey's paw, Molly commented. I made a wish on it last night, but I'm not saying what it is, though, Sarah replied. I would be careful if I were you. You never know what the bad consequence of that wish will be, Will stated sternly in his voice. I just thought it would work, but we'll have to wait and see, Sarah said, as everyone headed for the tack room, with the exception of Nani and Zoe, who both didn't say they needed a minute. Hey Zoe, I texted you last night and asked you some questions about guys and gals, and I was kind of nervous to say it in text, so I'll just say it here, Nani said. Yeah, same with me, Nani, Zoe said while blushing. I kind of had a crush on you, and I still do. Ever since your sister Chloe got together with Bailey and Will got together with Sarah, I could tell that you got jealous about that, Nani replied. Yeah, I've been jealous since then, but I find you somewhat cute, and I probably may be into guys and girls, Zoe stated. Well, that's the same with me, Zoe. I was just afraid of coming out as bisexual. Are you bi as well? We will not judge you if you are. Almost everyone knows who I am, Nani said. Wait, they do? Zoe asked. Why didn't you tell me? I was just thinking you would be coming out as well. Are you afraid that people will judge you for that? Nani asked, questioning Zoe. Yeah, I have hidden it away since I was 13. Chloe knew about it and swore not to tell anyone, but I'm 18 now, so I think I'm more confident in saying it, Zoe stated. So Zoe, you're also bi? That's great that you're coming out. When are you going to tell your friends? Nani asked. I think now will be the time, since if we're in a relationship, Zoe said. We could start a relationship now if you want. I won't force it on you, Nani said. Well, I was going to ask you out, Nani, but since you're starting it, I think we can give this a shot, Zoe replied, hugging Nani as the two committed their relationship. Sarah and the others watched from the tack room door as they all smiled at the sight of Zoe and Nani hugging each other. My sister and Nani are now in a relationship? That's awesome, Chloe said. Zoe was nervous as coming out is bi, so I do understand where she's coming from. My friend Jesse is gay, and he was nervous to tell me. But when he did, I didn't judge him for it, Bailey added. In fact, I'm proud of him to come out. And now since we are proud of Nani for coming out, we should feel the same for Zoe. Well, we're still all straight, but there's nothing wrong with Nani and Zoe being both bi, Will said in agreement. Sarah wished that on the monkey's paw for them to get together, and one of its fingers folded, Chloe blurted out. What will be the bad consequence? Sarah asked nervously. Beats me. Why don't we saddle up our horses and get started? Will said, as everyone got to work on getting their horses ready. While out in the indoor arena, Will got some jumps set up for the lesson, only to have a strange feeling that something bad will happen. At first he thought about the monkey's paw, but then brushed it off like it was nothing. Just when he went to go grab his horse in the barn, a dog showed up with rabies. It wasn't Shep, thankfully, but it was a pit bull with a mouth foaming. It was snarling and growling at Will. Will, what's going? Sarah stopped and interrupted, and gasped at the sight of the rabid pit bull. She then looked at Will, who was terrified beyond belief. Stay back, Sarah, Will instructed loudly, and Sarah had no choice but to stay put. She dialed the animal control to her cell to explain what was happening, and police were also called upon the scene. Will was backed up into the outdoor arena, with nothing to defend himself. He wouldn't want to risk the pit bull attacking him, especially with rabies. When Will turned around to see two police cars showed up, and the pit bull rushed over to the officers, Will was safe, and that was his chance to get back to the barn, only for the pit bull to begin attacking the police officers. While the attack was going on outside, Sarah was beginning to think it was her fault. It's my fault that the monkey's paw made the pit bull come out, Sarah said in a panicked tone. It's no one's fault here. It was a bad consequences, and that is the outcome of the wish that was on the monkey's paw, Will explained, reassuring Sarah that everything was going to be okay. Just then loud gunshots rang out, followed by loud cries of the pit bull, within screaming and rage of the officers. Nani and Zoe held each other close, hoping that it will soon end. After what felt like 10 minutes, an officer opened the barn doors. He did have some scratch marks, but he seemed to be okay. Is everyone okay? Alma asked. The pit bull had been dealt with. Well, we will take his body to the vet to have an autopsy to see how he got rabies. 2 officers were bitten and were on their way to the hospital. You are so lucky that none of the animals got bitten here, the officer replied. A pit bull with rabies? That sounds scary, Teeny said, gulping at the fact of what the commotion was heard was not good. No, it isn't. Rabies is a disease that makes an animal go mad like no tomorrow, and once an animal gets rabies, there's no way of curing them, Shep replied sadly. Yikes, wouldn't want to be dead now, would we? Angora said, while she stretches on a hay bale. Shortly after that shocking attack, they got their horses ready for their day and had their ride lesson and even a trail ride. However, it wasn't until nighttime where Bailey was the last one in the stable. He was putting the horses away when he looked at the monkey's paw near Aztec's stall on his fiend toe. Why is the monkey's paw doing in there? Bailey asked. He walked inside of Aztec's stall to pick up the monkey's paw from his fiend toe. Since Sarah made a wish on it, maybe I should make one too, Bailey thought, while he was thinking of a wish to come up with. In your dreams, Bailey. I still don't believe in that shit, Aztec scoffed. You saw that pit bull attack today. It was after Nani and Zoe got together, Pepper retorted. You can believe all that you want. I'm still not believing in the stupid monkey's paw mumbo-jumbo, Aztec replied. I know what I'll wish for, and this better be a good one, Bailey said, finally knowing what he was going to wish for. I wish that Chloe and I would get some alone time together. As Bailey said that, the second full finger on the monkey's paw folded. Holy shit! I don't believe it! The second finger folded! Bailey shocked at the monkey's paw that folded the second finger. The second finger folded. What will the bad consequence be? Teeny asked, sounding nervous about it. The next day, Bailey asked Chloe to come with him on a trail ride together, and since Chloe liked the idea, she accepted it. While she and Bailey went on a trail ride together, Zoe and Nani went along with their friends to do some jumping for their lesson. While on the trail ride together, Bailey and Chloe were both on Chilean Aztec, and the two were admiring the forest around them. It's a nice day today, Bailey. Why did you take me out here? Chloe asked. I just thought we could spend some more boyfriend-girlfriend time together. Plus, you're special, Bailey said as Chili's ears perked forward in alert, along with Aztec's. The two horses were alert for some reason, but the two riders didn't know why and just ignored it. Chili, what's up? Chloe asked. The forest around them became quiet all of a sudden. No birds or animals around. It was just dead silent. I'm not liking this, Bailey. Lee, the forest seems dead quiet. Gee, I kind of agree with you, Chloe. Something doesn't seem right, Bailey said, replying in agreement. I know I just know something bad is going to happen, Ben, especially after the second finger folded on that monkey's paw last night, Aztec said. So now you're believing in it, Aztec? Going from not believing it to believing it is so confusing. So do you believe in the monkey's paw or not? Chili retorted angrily at Aztec, only earning a snort from him. Suddenly Chloe and Bailey heard a sound that made them jump. It sounded like something 10 feet tall walking on branches, just snapping. Was that a bear? Chloe asked, unsettled of what was going to happen. I don't know, but I think we better head back, Bailey said, as he and Chloe both turned around and head back. Just as they were heading back, though, they heard a loud roar that sounded inhuman. It wasn't a mountain lion or a bear, but rather a creature they have never seen before. Chloe and Bailey turned around to see a giant ape-like creature running down towards them. Chili and Aztec galloped off with Bailey and Chloe staying on the saddle to their dear life. As they were galloping off, the creature started to chase after them as they headed back the way they came. As soon as the Horseland farm was approaching, Chloe and Bailey and their horses made it back to the stables. Once they got to the barn front doors, they looked up to see the giant ape roaring with anger before heading back towards the trees. The creature was never spotted again, but Chloe and Zoe felt like they both saw a ghost. Bailey, you okay? Molly asked, as she and Zoe showed up to see Bailey and Chloe, along with Chili and Aztec. Both all shooken up. You both look like you just saw a ghost, Zoe commented. We saw a giant ape in the forest, Bailey stated. It chased after me and Bailey, though first we thought we weren't fast enough. We wouldn't have been so lucky, Chloe said. I think the monkey's paw had something to do with that. Bailey, ever since you were the last one in the barn, mind explaining what you made a wish on? Molly asked. Yeah, I made a wish about me and Chloe wanting to spend more alone time together. Didn't expect that giant ape to chase us, but the good news is that we're safe, Bailey answered. This monkey's paw isn't something to play with. Good thing no one has gotten hurt today or yesterday, Zoe stated. Later on in the evening of the stables, Zoe stared at the monkey's paw in her hands by Pepper's stall. She decided to make another wish, but she debated on what she should wish for. She had always wanted to become champion in the next jumper competition in the summer, so she wanted to make sure to make everyone proud. Since it's my turn to make a wish, I know what it is, Zoe said, liking the idea of making a wish on the monkey's paw, despite the bad consequence of what it was going to be. I don't like this. It's creepy now that two bad things happen after two wishes, Angora stated. I'm not liking this either, Teeny added. I believe in the monkey's paw now, Chili and I. We just saw a big ape and we've been chased by what seemed like Bigfoot, Aztec said. Is that what you two saw with Bailey and Chloe? Shep asked. Yeah, holy fuck, it was a close one. If Aztec and I were to slow down, that big ape would have killed us along with Chloe and Bailey, Chili answered. What is Zoe gonna wish on the paw now? Pepper asked. I have a bad feeling about this one, Chili agreed with Pepper, although it didn't answer her question much. I wish to become the champion of this summer's jumper competition, Zoe said, everyone's eyes widened like saucers, as the third finger folded. Holy shit! The finger folded, but why has nothing happened yet? Oh well, I'll find out tomorrow. Zoe then placed a monkey's paw on the hay pile before heading off with Chloe back home for the day. The next day was at the horse show in another stable, and Zoe was there along with the rest of the members of Horseland. Zoe's turn was at the stadium with Pepper on the jumping course. However, no one had noticed a strange figure dressed in a hoodie and a trench coat jacket. Sarah and Will then noticed the man with the hoodie wearing the trench coat jacket, and he seemed very suspicious to them, and decided that they would have their eyes on him just in case. As Zoe made it through the arena during the finals without being eliminated, she was listed as champion at the jumper show. As she got off of Pepper to get her trophy, a gunshot rang out, spooking the horses and the riders as well as the audience. Everyone started screaming as Will and Sarah turned to see the man in the hoodie was doing the shooting, and in his trench coat was a pistol and all the ammo he had. All riders grabbed their horses and led them towards their trailers in retreat. As they were all escaping from the shooting, Alma was suddenly shot on her left arm. She cried out in pain as she held her arm. "Alma's been shot!" Sarah shouted, as Bailey and Will covered Alma while the hooded man was running away to get away from his crime scot-free. However, while he thought his victory was going to be pretty much last a while, the cops showed up and tased him before putting him in handcuffs. No, none of the riders or the horses were killed, thankfully, but some of the riders were shot, Alma included. Once the horses were in their trailers, Alma was rushed to the hospital to get her arm taken care of. While waiting in the hospital for about a few hours, the doctors said that the bullet went through Alma's arm. They said that they had to perform surgery to repair any muscle, arteries, and veins that may have been damaged by the bullet. Will had asked if she would be okay, and the doctor said she'd be okay within a few days. However, Alma would have to stay at the hospital for a few days after surgery, just to monitor her and see how she was doing. Zoe was starting to think it was her fault, but Nani reassured her to not beat herself up on it. "It's not your fault, Zoe. The monkey's paw curse is what causes bad things to happen," Nani reassured her. "I'm glad that Alma didn't get killed, or it would have been my fault," Zoe sobbed. "That man was arrested for the shooting at the show. None of us knew where he was," Nani said. "Will and I saw him, and I got suspicious about him, and so Will and I had all eyes on him, just to see if he did anything," Sarah explained. "Besides that, a shooting could have happened at any time," Molly added. "Alma's going to have to stay at the hospital for a few days. She had surgery and is resting now," Will announced. "At least she's healing," Nani said. "She is healing, but as soon as she's out of the hospital, doctors advised her not to go do any riding for a week. After being discharged from the hospital, she'll have to go through physical therapy after this," Will said to his friends. "How many fingers are folded left on the monkey's paw?" Sarah asked. "3 fingers, and there's only 2, and then this nightmare will end," Zoe answered. "We gotta be extra careful with that monkey's paw. Who knows what bad consequences could happen to anyone," Will said, as he took the monkey's paw away from Zoe. "Why did you bring that along, Zoe?" Chloe asked, surprised to see that Zoe had the monkey's paw throughout the day. "I just hid it in my bag for good luck," Zoe replied. "Maybe it could have been the reason why the shooting happened, but I don't know much about witchcraft mumbo-jumbo shit," Will said, but of course he didn't even know. None of them could have known. After leaving the hospital, everyone had help Alma looked after Button while she recovered from the hospital, followed by a week of riding Alma's horse as she takes her time off to heal. Chloe was the first being handed the monkey's paw by Zoe as her sister left the tack room. Of course, Will gave it back to them later. Chloe then stared at the monkey's paw after Zoe left, wondering just what to wish for, to curse off the Horseland for good. "I wish I'll get this new riding jacket I've always wanted," Chloe said, wishing about getting a new riding jacket from her parents. She looked to see the 4th finger had folded before her eyes. Then she placed the paw down on the table before leaving the tack room. Angora, Teeny, and Shep were in the tack room the whole time and watched the scene unfold. "What did Chloe wish for this time?" Angora asked. "A new riding jacket that she's always wanted, the one that she's been bugging her parents for," Teeny answered. "I do have a bad feeling about this. I sense something bad will happen," Shep said, not liking where this was going. The next morning was when Sarah was walked inside the barn. She saw Chloe and Zoe were in the arena on Pepper and Chili. Zoe saw that the new riding jacket Chloe got, it was the same one that she bugged her parents for a while, probably weeks or months. Nice riding jacket, Chloe. That must have been around $700, Sarah said. It sure was. It's a brand new with the small real diamonds on the collar, Chloe replied. We just got it on our way here today. Chloe just couldn't wait to get it, Zoe replied, when suddenly a wasp then buzzed around her ears, making Zoe scared, and she did her best not to scream. Pepper along with Chili were getting nervous by the soft screaming, but not very loud, and Chloe was nervous about why Zoe was yelping. Suddenly the wasp stung on Zoe in the arm, causing her to cry out in pain. As she cried out in pain, Pepper bucked Zoe off, and she was thrown onto the ground. Sarah then ran towards Pepper to grab her before the mare could take off. Bailey and Nani saw Zoe crying out in pain from the wasp stinging. Zoe! Nani shouted as she rushed for Zoe's bag to get her EpiPen for her wasp stings. Bailey then ran into the arena to see Zoe's arm, where the wasp had stung her, was getting swollen. Then the wasp stung Zoe again, this time on her leg. Pepper and Chili were freaking out, so Chloe got off of Chili, as she and Sarah took the horses back to their stalls. Zoe screamed out in pain as Zoe saw the wasp on the ground when she got back and stomped on it so it wouldn't sting Zoe anymore, killing it in the process. Here, take this, Nani said, giving Zoe the shot of the EpiPen to relieve any allergic reaction to wasp stings. As Zoe had taken the effects of the EpiPen, Bailey called 911 while Sarah and Chloe and Nani never left Zoe's side during this. He'll be okay, Zoe, Nani said, while instructing her to breathe. As Zoe took her some deep breaths, she was gasping for air due to the allergic reaction to the wasp stings that she took, probably closing some of her airways off. Everything was intense as they were concerned for Zoe's well-being, and then the EMTs arrived when the paramedics then took Zoe to the hospital. Nani rode with her just for support in the ambulance. Chloe, along with Sarah and Bailey, just drove to the hospital to follow the ambulance after Zoe. Once they were at the hospital, Zoe was admitted to the emergency room so the doctors can help relieve the wasp stings that Zoe had received. So Sarah, along with Chloe, Nani, and Bailey, were all waiting for the doctor to let them know about Zoe. They decided to visit Alma while they waited, and saw that Alma was doing a bit better, although she gave out the news that the doctor said she may be able to go home the next day. After their visit with Alma, Zoe was sent back to her regular self. Although she had painkillers to help managing the wasp sting aftermath, Zoe was free to head back to the stables. Although Bailey did inform Molly and Will about what happened earlier, the monkey's paw curse was still upon the riders, but there was only one finger unfolded left. All four of them have been folded from the previous wishes, but once the last finger folds, the curse will be over. If someone wishes one last time on this thing, this curse will be over, Shep said, staring at the monkey's paw with only one finger left. As Will passed by Shep outside, he picked up the monkey's paw with only one finger left, and as Will thought what it could do for the final wish, he did have some thinking about what to wish for. He and the others were now aware about what had happened when someone made a wish on the monkey's paw. Even the horses, along with Angora and Teeny and Shep, believe in it. If I can make this one last wish, we'll be free from it, Will said. He was a bit frustrated at what the bad outcome will happen. I'm just glad no one died. Only bad things like rabid pit bulls, Bigfoots, shootings, and wasp stings. Nothing too serious as we expected. Will, are you coming? Sarah asked, calling out to Will that it was lunchtime. Coming, Sarah, Will called back to her, and then he turned his attention to the monkey's paw. I wish Alma will come home safely. And as Will said his wish, the final finger folded on the monkey's paw, surprising Will that he had hoped that it would work. Later in the afternoon, Molly got a phone call from her parents. They sounded really upset when she picked up. Her parents were crying on their end of the phone, and Molly could tell that it was bad news. After a few minutes of taking her parents talking to them on the phone, she started to feel a bit emotional once she was off of the phone. Her friends then soon took notice. What's wrong? Sarah asked. My parents called. They got into a fatal car accident this afternoon on their way home. My parents survived with some injuries, but my sister, she didn't make it," Molly replied while she started to sob. The horses, along with everyone else in Horseland, heard the tragic news that it was a bad consequences of one of Will's wish that Alma would be home from the hospital, but it cost a life. "I'm so sorry for your loss, Molly. We're here for you," Bailey said, while comforting his friend. "Man, that is going to be hard on Molly. Losing a family member close to you is hard," Shep said, sadly as he laid down. "Are they free from the monkey's paw curse?" Teeny asked. "They are, yes, but with a sad and bad outcome. That's what a monkey's paw does. Once you wish on it, a bad consequence will happen," Shep explained. The next day they came to Horseland, and they had to make preparations for Molly's sister's funeral. While the parents were doing most of the work, they were doing some preparations, and Alma had showed up at the barn again, but of course, with her only arm being bandaged up from where she had been shot a few days ago. But of course, Nani looked up. "Alma, you're back," Nani said, as she was the first one to hug Alma. "Yeah, I am, amigo," Alma replied. "Doctor says my stitches are going to have to be on for a couple of days, but I'm free to be home now." "So glad to have you back. Molly's sister had recently died from a fatal car accident," Will said to Alma. "Oh geez, that's sad. What about the monkey's paw?" Alma asked. "I haven't asked this about since Zoe was in the hospital due to her wasp sting." "I used that last wish for you to come back home from the hospital. We all are free from it now. All 5 fingers have folded," Will explained. "But it sadly cost my sister's life. It's no one's fault that this curse happened, but it did," Molly began. "We all survived the curse, and only my sister died." "I'm so sorry for your loss, Molly. Are you preparing for the funeral?" Alma asked. We are. The funeral will be in 2 days," Zoe replied. "Yeah, and we all feel bad and sorry for Molly. Losing someone close to you is super hard, human or animal," Chloe added. At the end of the day, Will decided that he and his friends will have a bonfire together, just so they can have time to themselves after the stressful days involving the monkey's paw and its curse. Shep, along with Angora and Teeny, sat with the humans by the fire at the safe distance. Sarah looked at the monkey's paw, all folded up, and then she looked at her boyfriend Will for an idea on what to do with the monkey's paw. "What should we do with the monkey's paw?" Sarah asked. "It's finally over. I don't see the use for it," Zoe added. "I suggest we burn it," Bailey said. "I agree," Chloe agreed, and with that Bailey said something about the burning the monkey's paw. "Well, it's useless now that all 5 fingers are folded," Molly said. What Bailey said, "I think we should all burn it since there's no really sense on keeping it. All 5 of the fingers are folded, and the curse is over. We only lost Molly's sister and possibly other lives lost to which we don't know," Will replied. "Let's burn this monkey's paw, and we will all still stick together, no matter what happens." As Will said that, everyone put the monkey's paw into the bonfire, watching the flames eat away at the flesh of the monkey's paw. As soon as the monkey's paw disappeared, it was nothing more than a pile of ash. Everyone at Horseland was relieved to be free from the curse. Since then, everything had been fine after the monkey's paw curse, so everything went back to normal after Molly's sister's funeral. While they were still sad over the loss of a family member from Molly's side, everyone had mentioned about the curse they had never mentioned about the curse they went through again at Horseland. With some bumps on the road during the curse, everyone at Horseland were like family to each other, and they always will look out for one another.